here we go. We're going to be touching down. Touched down a little late towards the top of the hill, and oops, did not give myself enough room. And now we're going down the hill on the back side, and just like I almost screwed this up in the real world, bam, out.
Nice, dude. Holy shit.
Hey everybody, I wanted to make a quick video that explains in some detail how I scout out landing spots before I actually go out to them in the real world. A couple things I use are Onyx Hunt and Google Earth. So Onyx Hunt I use to scout out property lines and see if it's public use or if it is owned by a friend who has granted me permission to land on that property. Google Earth I use to scout out the terrain and do some measuring of the landing site. And the main thing I wanted to focus on this video is how I actually use Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 to preview a spot before I ever fly out to it in the real world. And what makes Microsoft Flight Simulator, this 2020 version of it, such a game changer is that instead of recreating the entire planet, the program references satellite imagery and topographical data and then reproduces the world on the fly. And it also has programming built in so that if there is a tree that it identifies through the satellite and topo data, it will recreate that tree in the sim. If there's a building there, a house there, it will recreate it in the sim. Every little undulation of the terrain that exists in the real world is there in the sim. So it is a phenomenal tool for previewing spots. It'll save you a ton of gas, a ton of time, a ton of money to fly out to these places in the sim. I'll show you how you can start over a specific spot in the sim, and you can practice approaches from this direction, that direction. Look at what the terrain is like around it. Look at where the trees are, what your go-around options are. And I have used this multiple times for multiple spots. I'll show you 3 different spots that I have used this for, and it works phenomenally well. And so come on along and I'll give you a little tour of how I use it. The other way that I have used Flight Sim, both in the past and currently, is I will show you how to tweak the airplane engine and flight model config files so you can modify the airplane to fly and act exactly like your own personal airplane. So you can change the horsepower, you can change the wing dimensions, you can change all this stuff by going into these config files. So I'll put that on at the end of this video so that people who are interested in modifying an airplane to match your own airplane's performance, I will show you how to do that. And of course, this is of utmost importance if you are using Flight Simulator to preview spots like I like to do. You want that performance of whatever airplane you download or install to, as close as possible, match your own personal airplane. So feel free to ask any questions, leave questions in the comments, and we'll get after it. I'll give you a little tour. All right. It's pretty incredible. You can do discovery flights, landing challenges, bush trips. There's my little Kit Fox. And there's a screenshot from my 4th flight showing this first point that we are going to. It is on BLM land. So right here in the search bar under the world map, you can type in the latitude, longitude coordinates in decimal format, and that will then convert it to the lat-long format that the sim uses. It just is smart enough to know that automatically. Click on that, and then you click on the waypoint. When it shows up, set that as a departure. And we do this because then it will put us above the point. I just have it to set you 1,500 feet above the point. Click on fly, And away we go.
Looks like the most promising out of all the spots. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, it'll be fun to check it out.
Little example of the beautiful scenery in Flight Sim. So here we are positioned up above that spot. And we are ready to go. So showing this little opening clip so you can get a sense of what the scenery is and how it's recreated in the sim. It is absolutely spectacular. So here we are, spinning the camera around. That's the spot down there, and it looks very similar to how it looks in the real world. I have been there and have another video that shows when we flew out to it and what we thought. One thing that the sim does not accurately recreate, obviously, is all of the little things like rocks and stumps that might exist there in the LZ. And so that is one thing that, one element that you really need to go inspect when you actually fly out to the spot, if you decide that it's necessary. So here you are, fun little uphill landing spot, touching down, giving her some power to carry up the hill, and looking forward to landing this spot in the real world sometime. But we are going to go out and with our Jeeps and Expedition go pull out some rocks and actually walk it and inspect it before we actually land it in the Kit Fox with our bush planes. So the rocks just looked a little too big to attempt in the real world, but at least we can go check it out here on Flight Sim. And besides those rocks, you can see that it's pretty fun and really nice. So here's a nice little view on the climb out. So now we are going to go off to the next spot. This is actually on a friend's property, so I'm going to avoid posting the lat longs here. This is a spot that I actually screwed up landing in the real world. I had flown to it on Flight Simulator a few times. It is a fun, super fun spot. So check out this video if you want to see where I really screw up the landing. So here we are, approaching the spot. You can see, and there it is. It's that kind of V-shaped area down there, just behind the airplane. We'll get a nice closer look at it here. And what I might do is bring up a little split screen of some of these spots so you can see what they look like in the real world versus what they look like in the sim. It is super accurate. So as you can see, it is quite the tool to use. So here we are on final approach. But man, it looks just like it did in the real world. So it is pretty awesome. So here we go. I didn't do that great of a touchdown on this one, but here we are, and getting on the brakes, and whoop, yep. Gotta tweak the brakes a little bit because they get a little tight there at the end. I'll always want to put the airplane on the nose. So here we are on the top of the hill. It looks really close to how it looked when I was there in person. So here we go on the takeoff roll, down the hill and up and over the trees, and around we go. Now I never actually have landed from this direction in the real world, but this was my original thought. But here we go, we're going to be touching down a little late towards the top of the hill, and oops, did not give myself enough room, and now we're going down the hill on the back side, and just like I almost screwed this up in the real world, bam! Ouch! So yeah, it pretty accurately simulates what happens if you go over the top of a hill like I did in real life. So check out this other video if you want to check that out.
Oh yeah, so that one was a bit rough.
So now we're heading off to another fun spot that I've been to recently, out on a reservoir, another public use spot. Super fun. I haven't actually put together this whole video yet, but it's upcoming and it's going to be awesome. I got a couple clips from that I'll throw in here as a little preview. But it's this peninsula that sticks out into this reservoir. It is a ton of fun. In the sim, unfortunately, the reservoir is completely full, and so our little peninsula actually ends up being a series of islands out there, and so it makes the spot even tighter in the sim than it is in the real world right now. So here we are coming in to this island, and full disclosure, it took me a number of attempts before I didn't either come up short and rip off my landing gear or roll off the end into the water in the sim, because the lake is so full here. But here we are coming in and holding it off, and we're nailed the touchdown spot on the brakes and come to a spot, and there we are. And check out those trees right there on the left. Those trees, I will split screen it, are actually there in the real world, just like most of the trees in the sim, with some exceptions of course. But check this out. It is so accurate, so incredible. I purposely didn't give myself a whole lot of room for this takeoff, but let's just see if we can get it. And accelerating, getting close to takeoff speed, and we're, water skied. Not supposed to do that, but hey, you can do it in the sim without raising our insurance rates. So here we go, coming on in. Just wanted to show this to show you how fun it is to just go explore and checking out some other potential landing spots in an area that you are going to explore. So man, it is wonderful. It's so much fun to use this to scout out spots before you ever go there in the real world. And then when you get there, you already have a sense of what they look like, what the obstacles are. It just frees up so much more fun when you actually get there, because you have done your research and done your recon. And look how beautiful this is. What a fun little reservoir. One of my favorite new spots right here. So next, if you guys are interested, I'm going to show you how to tweak the config files so that your airplane, you can adjust any airplane to accurately fly like your own. So you have to go find the community folder, which is buried way within your folders on your sim, on your computer. So what I recommend it is just in the search bar on your file explorer, go type in community, and then that'll bring up your community folder. As you can see, it is buried way deep within the subfolders. Go click on the airplane that you want to adjust, click on sim objects, then airplane, and then click on the aircraft. Down here we have all these different config files you can adjust. We'll start with the engine config file. So check this out. I will show you how I adjusted it to match my airplane's performance. So I have 9:1 compression pistons, so compression ratio to 9.0. Horsepower right now on my airplane is right around 130. It's actually probably a little bit less than that. And of course my airplane, unlike Trent's, my airplane is not turbocharged, so switch to turbocharged to 0, hit save. And now your airplane has those new data points in there. Now check out all of these elements that you can adjust and tweak and change with your engine, even all the way down. You scroll down here to the bottom, you can even change your prop dimensions, you can change the diameter of the prop, how many blades your prop has, which will all affect aerodynamically how your prop responds within the sim on your airplane. So pretty incredible. Now we're going to go over here to the flight model and check this out right here. You can adjust your empty weight to match the empty weight of your actual airplane. Mine, I'm guessing right now, is about 869, so I'm going to put that in for the new empty weight. I do not have the STI wing, and so you can even change the geometry of your wing to aerodynamically match your own. So my wingspan is the same as the STI wing of 32 feet, but you can adjust your wing chord and camber. You can even change the wing sweep, because with the O200 I have about 1 degree of forward sweep in the wing. But check out all these elements that you can change in the flight model. And again, each one of these affects how your airplane actually flies in the sim. So it's really fun if you're a nerd like me to go and dive into all this stuff and tweak and adjust and change down to here, the flight tuning, elevator effectiveness, rudder aileron effectiveness, roll stability, pitch stability, yaw stability. That is one thing that I changed right out of the gate because I felt like it was a little too unstable in yaw during the takeoff roll. So I changed that, and I changed the yaw gyro stability as well, and it ended up reacting and flying a little more accurately and closer to how my airplane flies, I believe. So check this out. It is incredible, all the way down to your flap parameters. So many amazing cool things you can do with this flight sim, and I hope you got a lot out of that, because I, again, use this all the time. It is such an incredible tool. I did this back when I was flying a Pitts S1. I used to own a Pitts S1 Special and flew aerobatics with it. I couldn't afford to fly it all that much. I downloaded a Pitts Special on Flight Sim, and I tweaked the config files really detailed. I spent a ton of time tweaking it so that it flew exactly the same way that my own Pitts S1 flew. And I would practice and practice the sequence, the IAC Sportsman sequence on the sim until I just got my timing and muscle memory just locked in. And when I went and flew it one time before the competition, I ended up doing really well because I had all that timing and all that muscle memory all dialed in through flying the sequence in the sim. Oh, and one more quick thing. You don't need a full yoke, rudder pedals, panel, all that stuff. All you need that I recommend is a simple 3-axis joystick. I have this SciTech Aviator joystick. It's probably 10 or 12 years old. You want a 3-axis joystick. So you have a rotatable shaft here for the rudders. For flying the Kit Fox, all I use is throttle, and then I have one toggle switch for flaps down and flaps up. And really important for flying a simulator is you want trim nose up, trim nose down, hat switch for directional, and I use this to switch in between cockpit camera and exterior camera. So yeah, there's no need to overcomplicate things with the yoke and rudder pedals and all that. This setup is simple, effective, and inexpensive, and it works great. I've been using it for decades. Stay tuned for more Kit Fox adventure fun. Got a lot of video projects still in the works, including a Citation 10 flight out to Hawaii, the actual outing where some of these clips came from out at the Salt Creek Reservoir, and lots of fun times. So stay tuned. Hope you guys got a lot out of this. And check out Microsoft Flight Sim. I think it's worth it. $60, I think, for the standard edition. That's all I have. And enjoy.
And you are clear for takeoff, 29 right, Hawaii bound.